Good morning, students. Let us solve questions from practice set 1.3. This practice set questions are based on if and then statements, which are called as conditional statements, which we have already studied in past lecture. So the first question is, write the following statement in if and then form. That is conditional statement we have to write from a normal statement. So the first question is, so this is the normal statement. The opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. So here in this statement, if you have to find out if and then wala part, then simple trick which I have told you all to use is ask the question when. Okay, so pay attention. How am I asking the question? When are the opposite angles congruent? If so the answer will be if the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So immediately you have to write down if a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then the opposite angles are congruent. So the if and then statement answer will be if the quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then the opposite angles of that quadrilateral are congruent. So we have converted from normal statement to if and then form. Second question is the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. Again, how should we ask the question? When are the diagonals of the given figure congruent? When are the diagonals congruent? Only if and if the given figure is a rectangle, right? Only when or only if the given figure is a rectangle, the diagonals of rectangle will be congruent. So how will we write down? If the quadrilateral is a rectangle, then the diagonals of that quadrilateral are congruent. Okay, so we have converted it in if and then form. Last question is, in an isosceles triangle, the segment joining the vertex and the midpoint of the base is perpendicular to the base. Again, ask the question when. When in the given figure, okay, it can be any figure. So in which figure or when in the given figure the segment joining the vertex and the midpoint of the base is perpendicular to the base? If the given figure is isosceles triangle, right? So write down if the given triangle is an isosceles triangle. So here specifically it is mentioned it should be isosceles triangle. There should not be right angle triangle or scalene triangle. Okay, specifically it is said that there should be isosceles triangle. So if the given triangle is an isosceles triangle, then and then only the segment joining the vertex and the midpoint of the base is perpendicular to the base. So these were the three questions from practice set 1.3 where we had to convert normal statement into the if and then form. Students, now let us solve the second question from practice set 1.3. What is the question? Write the converses of the following statement. So this if and then statement, if they are given, that is conditional statement if they are given, then you have to write its converse. How converse? How can we get the converse? The antecedent wala part we have to write in consequent, and consequent wala part we have to write in antecedent. That means we have to interchange their positions. Okay, so let us see the first example. First example is the alternate angles formed by two parallel lines and their transversal are congruent. So here you can see here if and then statements are not given. Conditional statement is not given. So only when only normal statement is given, at that time you have to first convert that normal statement into if and then form. Form, conditional statement, and then you have to write the converse. So to write down the conditional statement of this normal statement, what do we have to do? We have to ask question when. So when are the alternate angles formed are congruent to each other? When do we get these alternate angles? Only and only when there are two parallel lines and when there is transversal, right? So when there are two parallel lines and there is transversal, then only the alternate angles which are formed, they are congruent to each other. So how will be the statement? If there are two parallel lines, if two lines are parallel, then the alternate angles formed by two lines and their transversal are congruent. Okay, so whenever there are two lines and transversal, then only alternate angles are formed and then only they will be congruent. So if the two lines are parallel, then the alternate angles formed by those two parallel lines and their transversal are congruent. So we get the if and then wala statement, that is conditional statement. Now of this conditional statement we can write down the converse. So what we will do, this green wala part is going to come in pink form and pink wala part will come in green form. So the converse will be, if the alternate angles formed by two lines and their transversal are congruent, then the two lines are parallel. Okay, so you can see here we have interchanged the position of the if and then statement. So then wala part comes after if and if wala part comes after then. So you can see here after if, the part which was there for then, that has come here. If the alternate angles formed by two lines and their transversal are congruent, then two lines are parallel. You can see here this part, the two lines are parallel, was after if. So we have interchanged the position. Let us see second question. If the pair of the interior angles made by a transversal of two lines are supplementary, then the lines are parallel. So here already if and then statement is given. So you don't have to take pain or take any pressure of converting normal statement into if and then statement. Already conditional statement is given. So to write the converse, you have to just interchange the position. So then wala part will write for if the lines are parallel. So you can see here I have taken this part for if the lines are parallel, then the pair of interior angles made by transversal of two lines are supplementary. That part I have written for then. So we interchange both the positions and we get the converse. Now let us study the third example. The diagonals of rectangle are congruent. So here also you can see, students, normal statement was given. The diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. So you have to first write down if and then wala statement, that is conditional statement. So write down if and then statement, you have to ask question when. So when are the diagonals congruent? Only and only if the given figure or quadrilateral is rectangle. Only in rectangle the diagonals can be congruent. So you have to write down if statement. If the given quadrilateral is a rectangle, then and then only the diagonals of the given quadrilateral are congruent. So as soon as we get this if and then statement, this conditional statement, now we can easily write down the converse of this statement. So this pink wala part will come for if. So let us see how it will be. If the diagonals of given quadrilateral are congruent, then the given quadrilateral is a rectangle. Right? So we have interchanged the position. If the diagonals of given quadrilateral are congruent, then the given quadrilateral is rectangle. So this is how we write down the converse of the conditional statement, if and then statement. Always remember, students, if the normal statement is given, first you have to convert in if and then form by asking question when, and then that if and then wala statement you have to write down converse. This is how you write down the converses of the given statements. Thank you.